Here's a very simple way to make a delicious potato as your side dish using red Bliss potatoes because the color. Fresh rosemary only, never use dry rosemary, it's just not there. And onion, salt and pepper, and when we're done you'll see how nice this dish looks. I'm measuring everything to the T. That means the salt and the pepper, so you really have no question about how to season it, and you have to trust me on the seasoning. So let me get started. I'm going to cut the potato, slice the onion, chop up the rosemary, season with salt and pepper. Even though I favor this style knife for much of my work, when it comes to mincing up something, a blade like so is curved. So when you go like this, it's easier, the rocking motion. So you finely mince the rosemary. First thing we're going to do is to actually it's not the first thing. The first thing you should do is roast the potatoes. And while the potatoes are roasting, then you saute the onions. You don't mix the potatoes and the onions together. Why? Because the oven is set at 450. Why? Because we want to brown the potatoes nicely and then drop it down to finish cooking them. They have to have a nice golden brown look about them. The onions will burn in the oven, and so will the rosemary. So we put the rosemary, which is only going to be 1 teaspoon, very strong fresh rosemary. You don't want to make people feel as if they're eating nothing but rosemary. And then into the rosemary and onion mix, we're going to put a half a teaspoon of this great sea salt. Look at the color. See how it's not pure white? That's a good sign. That means it goes through less of a well, I forgot the word. You know, when the salt is taken and then gone through certain stages and it comes out pure white. So this goes through less. So you have a nice sea salt here. So we put half a teaspoon in there, and that's because everything has to be seasoned, not just the potatoes. And a quarter teaspoon of pepper. And black pepper, not white pepper. You know, in cooking, the times you don't use the black pepper is if you have like a white sauce. You don't want to see black spots in it. But as far as taste, everybody agrees that black pepper has a better flavor. So we're going to saute that on a low flame until it's translucent. And if you want, you can go further and give it a little color. It really doesn't matter. So while that's cooking, as you see, I cut the 1 pound of potatoes in lengthwise into wedges, in quarters, each potato into 4 pieces. So we're going to put olive oil, put the aluminum foil. You don't have to if you're using a non-stick, and even though what I have is a non-stick, it's just less of a cleanup for me. So we're going to mix that up. The oven is already hot. We're going to put salt in there and pepper. I'm going to mix it up, and I'm only going to use a half a teaspoon. And the same quarter of a teaspoon of pepper. Now that's lightly seasoned. Now just mix it with your hands, throw it in the oven. I have to work with the camera, so I don't want to get all oily, but that's what I'm going to do now. As you can see, all of the potatoes are skin side down. Why? Because we don't need to color the red side of the potato. It already has color, red. We want the white part of the potato to have color. Now, you know, if it's seasoned enough, potato, you can taste what you just mixed. Not like a piece of chicken. You won't mix chicken up with salt and pepper and then stick your finger in there to taste it. If that tastes good, salt and pepper wise, then it's going to come out tasting good. So I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. I'm assuming that that's the amount of time it'll take for me to get some color, and it's also an insurance. The timer is my insurance policy that I won't forget that there's something in the oven. Good thing to do. And as you can see, the onions are sauteing nice and gently, no rush. So in the oven we go now. And place the oven, no, the oven's already there. Place the pan of onions in the top shelf of the oven. And why is that? Because the heat comes up from the side and then comes around and goes down again. So the hottest spot in the oven is going to be the top shelf. That's how you're going to get nice color. And then after we get the color, we drop the potatoes down to the bottom shelf and also lower the temperature considerably. Now let's see how the potatoes are doing. Can't see the top shelf, so we'll bring it down, and there are the potatoes, not colored yet. That was 15 minutes, and we'll go another 15. And the onions, they've been cooking for about 20 minutes. Put them on the slowest burner now, so they just cook slowly and not color too much. They'll be done in about 10 minutes. But as you see, nothing's stuck. It's good to use a skillet with a thick bottom. Can you see that thickness on the bottom piece? Even though it's a small pan, whatever you put in there, things will cook evenly. You won't have any hot spots or cold spots. I should get a lid for this one. I have to find one. I guess that's about 8 inches across. That would help. Anyway, nice and slow, and everything's coming along fine. Potatoes have been in the oven for exactly a half an hour. They look beautiful, and use one of these to test them if you don't want to squeeze them with your fingers. One of these cake testers, just put them in, put it into the potato. Look how easy that is. That potato's done. So that, I have a convection oven, so if you set it at 450 for a half hour, that's exactly what you're going to get. So now what do we do with the onions? Just take those beautiful onions. There's one thing I'm missing here, which I'm going to get in a few minutes. So let me just wait a minute and let me get it. Okay, to finish up, I just got 1 tablespoon of fresh chopped parsley. Not the dehydrated crap that a lot of people use, like my wife, etc. So we have that, and we're just going to take the onions, put them right on the potatoes, and you'll see how nice this looks. And the amount I made is the right amount of everything. Unless you love, truly love onions and you want even more. Now you can make this the day before. Just put it in your casserole dish. and then just put it in a slightly warm oven. I don't like to use the microwave on certain things because it kind of steams it and they just come out very, very soft. Now we're going to put some of this on a plate. I was going to say that's enough for 2 people. That's a half a pound. So per person, well, actually that's enough for 4 people. And we just put some on a plate just to get a good look at it, how it looks on a plate. 1 portion, 2, 3, maybe not, because if you like eating potatoes, yeah, that's a portion. I'll go back to what I said originally. That's for 2 people with a little bit left over, or 4 people that are really on a diet. So how pretty is that? Not only is it pretty, but it tastes good. I hope you enjoy it.